Let's go to Marcelino Frostflow da Costa. He is a dance instructor, founder of Canadian breakdancing group Ground Illusion. Thanks for your time tonight.
Hello, hello. How are you doing?
I'm good. Would you consider breakdancing a sport?
It runs a fine line.
Meaning what?
Similar to capoeira, you know, it's both there's athleticism, there's athletics, but it's an art first and foremost. It's culturally sound in that regard.
So how would you grade or judge it if it did cross over into competitive sport?
Well, the way that it's judged currently, there's several different categories that help to understand the aesthetic, and I think that won't necessarily change. But I think when it crosses over to that Olympic platform, hopefully people are still understanding what's going on in context with the actual history of it. So, you know, there's musicality, there's execution, and there's originality and things of that manner. But, yeah. Okay,
so give me an idea of what you would look for if you were judging a competition in this.
I'm looking for people dancing the music, first of all, having an understanding of the foundation. They have to have a good sense of vocabulary. They have to be contributing something that's original. Got to be creative. They have to be having a conversation that's sound with, you know, the right type of gestures and points. When I say points, it's kind of like you're having a discussion or a debate with somebody. You have to have sound judgment and argument.
You mean there's a conversation going back and forth?
There's totally a conversation going back and forth. And people who are usually winning the competitions or the battles, whether it's on a stage or kind of in a circle, they're making the most sense of the conversation through the music and showing that they're fluent with the original understanding of what the dance is. They have a good sense of the vocabulary and the history, but they're also contributing something, and they're being themselves.
So how has it changed over the years?
It's evolved in terms of its format in regards to the technicality of the moves. Movements are more technical. There was a time where, you know, in the early 80s, it was very exploited in the mainstream, and you know, a lot of people were doing it but didn't really have an understanding of where things were coming from. And then, you know, within the 80s, it kind of late 80s it stopped, but then in the early 90s there was a resurgence of trying to re-understand the foundation and creating new foundations to the dance.
Okay, so where does it come from? Because you keep referring to the fact that competitors need to understand that. Where did it come from?
Well, the roots of breaking, they're ancient. They come from thousands of years ago, but it was manifested in the Bronx in New York in the form that we know of today. So what people don't necessarily understand is the essence of breaking is rooted through the music, and that musical rhythm and approach is something that's been happening in tribes and ancient cultures for many, many years, right? But the way that we see it as breakdancing or breaking to this day manifested through the Bronx. And I mean, even here in Toronto, we have our own variation and style of it that's based through the foundation. And it's rooted in the music and syncopated rhythm and the funk. People know as the hip-hop these days and soul music. And if we have an understanding of the foundations of what the music gives us and how we move to the music a particular way, then we have an understanding of the approach. And I think that's the most important. Because essentially what you're supposed to do is do your own style through the dance, through the language, create your own slang, have your own opinion, and have your own way, which is often there's a preconceived notion about what we do. It's just kind of like a physical feat and it's acrobatic, but everything we do is to the music, it's in a conversation, and every culture in the world has their own way that they do it. And the way that they do it is significant to them and their personal story.
Got it. All right. I do have to leave it there, but I appreciate you joining us on the program. Thanks so much for your time.
Take care.
Bye-bye.